She thought she was someone because she worked for a rich family. Man, life can be so unfair. I'm Avril, by the way, and I clean toilets for a living. But what can you do when your family is dirt poor and can't afford to let you finish high school? This was the only job I could get without doing something that would get me in trouble or affect my family. And yet, Marissa landed on this big job, and now she won't even acknowledge my existence. We used to be best friends. She comes from a poor family too, but it's not like she'll acknowledge that. She doesn't even speak to her family anymore because she's too ashamed of them. The first time she came to the cafe I work in, I tried to hide, but she saw me and gave me the biggest smirk I've ever seen. I wanted to curl up and die. She even flicked her hair as she walked out. And then she started coming every day. At around 9:30, she'd march in with the 2 kids she looked after and order a whole bunch of stuff. And then, in a loud, fake voice, she'd say stuff like, "Oh, you little darlings, are you excited for Paris this weekend? I certainly am." So I did the next best thing. I spat in her coffee. And then I came up with a plan. I started watching her closely every time she came in and got to learn her little routine. Every morning after her coffee, she'd go to the bathroom. It was always exactly at 10 a.m. And then I remembered she's diabetic and had to take her insulin. One morning at 9:50, after she'd ordered her coffee, I ran to the bathroom and started waxing and polishing the floor. I made sure it was super slippery, and then I quickly came out to watch. To my absolute horror, the little boy stood up and said he needed the toilet and asked Marissa to take him. No, this wasn't supposed to happen. They started walking towards the bathroom, and I went into full-blown panic mode. And then, thankfully, Marissa's phone started ringing, and she ran to get it, and the little boy shouted that he'd go into the boys' bathroom instead on his own. I was so relieved. I actually let out a proper sigh. I watched as the clock ticked towards 10, and then, like clockwork, Marissa got her insulin out her bag and went to the bathroom. Jackpot. Straight away, there was a huge crashing sound, and I almost jumped for joy. Hopefully, she'd have broken her legs, and then she couldn't work, right? I never wanted to see her smug face in this cafe again. But she didn't break her legs. It was much worse than that. I ran in there, and she was lying flat on her back, completely unconscious. Oh, God. What if I'd killed her? The kids started screaming and asked me to call their mom, and then the boy gave me his phone. My gosh, the kids even had their own phones? I called her and asked her to come quick, and then I called an ambulance. There was no one else in the cafe. Even my manager was out running errands, so I quickly ran to Marissa's bag and dropped something inside. When the mom arrived, I couldn't believe it. She looked like a supermodel. She thanked me for calling her and asked if she could call Marissa's mom to let her know what had happened. Before I could even reply, she started digging through Marissa's bag, and that's when she found it. A bag of peanuts. The kids were allergic to peanuts, like majorly allergic, so I'd stuck a bag in there as part of my plan. The mom was horrified and asked the kids if they were okay. Then I asked what was wrong and said that Marissa always had peanuts and drank almond milk in her cappuccino every day. The mom gasped and grabbed her kids into a big hug. The ambulance finally arrived and the paramedics were shocked. They said they didn't know when she'd regain consciousness, and so I turned to the kid's mom and said, "Hey, I can look after the kids in the meantime if you want, just until Marissa is back on her feet." Then you won't believe it. The mom looked at me and said, "That girl is going nowhere near my kids ever again. She could have killed them with these peanuts." "Okay, when can you start?" Then she asked me if I had any experience with kids, and I showed her my portfolio. I'd printed a whole bunch of photos that I'd photoshopped of me and this fake family that I'd made up. She seemed impressed, but then she suddenly looked confused. "But why are you working in this cafe if you have all this experience?" she asked. I told her my family owned the cafe, and then she relaxed a bit. Thank God she offered me the job, because when my manager came back, he fired me on the spot and said he could be sued because of me. But I told him I was about to quit anyway and said, "See you later, loser," as I skipped out of there. I was about to start a new life, and I couldn't wait. I started the very next day, and the minute I approached their house, I thought I was dreaming. It was huge. The kids actually seemed excited to see me, and that first day went well. I had to totally fake it until I made it, but it seemed to work. We hung out by their pool all day, and I taught them some basic swimming skills, and their mom was so impressed when she found out. Then one day, the mom asked me if I could join them on a weekend trip to Paris. Luckily, I'd applied for my passport as soon as I started working for them, because I'd been waiting for this magical moment. So I decided to create a fake social media account. I had to document this. I was going to Paris, for goodness sake. After that, I made sure to wear lots of perfume. By the end of the trip, I had like 1,000 followers on social media. I always filtered out the kids as I didn't want the family finding out I was pretending to be a rich girl. And then I felt like I'd won the lottery.
Pencil went into my hand.
Okay. A yellow pencil?
Yeah.
Yeah, with a black kind of
Yeah, gray.
carbon thing?
Yeah.
All right. And when was this?
Yesterday.
Just yesterday. It looks to me like it's already getting red. So this whole black area in the middle, I'm guessing somebody's been picking at it. Okay. She was digging at it.
Yeah.
Well, he also told me that at school the nurse dug at it.